We're going to give this just a second because we're doing a simulcast, and I think we're simulcasted. Okay, I think this is good. All right, we're in here. Hello, welcome back. Hi, Kelly. Thank you for the nice opening comment. Yeah, we're going to learn some good stuff, I hope, tonight. Welcome back. I'm Christopher.
I'm Angela.
And we are the Dinosaur Omelet. We're trying to do a dual cast for the first time ever in history tonight. So we're doing our Facebook Live and our YouTube at the same time. But if you guys have any questions or comments, stick them down there, and hopefully we can get them answered for you as quickly as possible. Let's go in here. Okay, cool. So tonight, we're going to be talking about what?
Going on vacation while having critters at home. Having a homestead, having pets, that sort of thing. What do you do?
Yeah, getting away from home. That was stressful, right? Trying to plan time and get out of here.
It can be.
Before we had somebody.
Yes.
Yeah, so getting away from home. Hey, Aaron, what's going on, buddy? Getting away from home is really a huge challenge, and everybody wants to get on vacation, and it can be stressful. And this is really geared, too, for you new guys, new to animals, because a lot of people are new, I guess, over the last few years. And scheduling time to get out can be a challenge, and it drives you a little crazy because you want to do stuff with kids, go to the beach again.
Or just you want to go and recharge.
Yeah, and you got a million responsibilities. So how do you do that? I don't know if you can hear that. We got motorcycle people. This is like Motorcycle Central, so you might hear them in the background. So that's what we shall be talking about tonight. Mm-hmm. Yes? Mm-hmm. A little bit about us real quick. So we are the Dinosaur Omelet. We're a small hatchery in southern Lancaster County. We really focus on education, teaching you guys, hopefully disseminating useful information, by the way of which there should be a bunch in our YouTube description, right? Mm-hmm. People find that pretty useful.
Yeah.
And so we do like to educate, and that's why we do these. We've been doing live for a long time.
Hi, Susan.
Oh, hey, Susan. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, guys, if we say hi and you don't know why we're saying hi, if you're watching on Facebook, we're also on the YouTube at the same time, and vice versa. But either of you guys have questions about quail, chickens, creatures, what we do, or anything like that, please feel free to drop it in. I certainly do love the questions. And, little bit of information for you older folks out there over 40 like myself. My wife was recently introduced and doesn't have to kiss me anymore because recently she saw the traumatizing Family Feud of the early 1980s, late 70s, and watched Richard Dawson kiss everybody constantly, and you didn't really appreciate that man too much. She thought she was weirded out by...
He was a bit handsy.
Yeah, but it was...
the contestants looked like they were looking forward to his attention.
Yeah, the contestants love Richard Dawson. Yeah, but they started streaming this stuff, so I was trying to introduce Angela to the sleazy Richard Dawson of early 80s. Hey, Bill! Anyway, I thought it was kind of funny. I thought I'd mention that. All right, yes, so tonight we'll be talking about going on vacation. Again, about us, if you guys are new, we're a small hatchery in southern Lancaster County. Kelly is writing a comment. She loves the old game shows. Yeah, they were tip-top. Yeah, southern Lancaster County in Pennsylvania. We've been doing this for like 4 years.
Yeah.
In 2019, early 2020, the world shut down, turned into an apocalyptic wasteland, or at least an inconvenient place where you had to stand 6 feet apart. And during that time, a lot of people bought homesteads and started raising critters. And we decided, you know what, this is a good opportunity to start a small business, teach people how to raise animals, not have to deal with all the craziness of regular office life. It's a lot of work, but that's what we've been doing, and really focusing a lot of time on the education, productivity, and being useful to people, and not just humans trying to take advantage of others, which seems to be pretty prevalent and easy to find. That's not what we try to do. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then of course we're always encouraging people to work with wherever you are, with what you have, determine your goals and what you want to do, even if you don't have a lot of space to work with. There's always something that you can do, and there's always skills you can learn. So.
Kelly said it's a lot of work, but so rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. I always go on these tangents about controlled, intentional hardship, or controlled, intentional, and mindful suffering, putting yourself through, a difficulty and overcoming a challenge. And human beings, we tend to seek the path of least resistance. It's biologically inherent in us to do so. But luckily, as free-willed human beings, we have the ability to use our cognition and our thoughts to say, you know what, even though it's easier to sit on the couch and watch TV, I'm going to go outside and do X, Y, Z and put in the effort. The reward of doing so is not immediate, but the reward is much, much greater than sitting on the old TV.
And 100% affects your character. You're learning, it's discipline, self-control, to go out and time management, just learning new skills. Yeah. It's just beneficial all around. And then with, figuring out how to manage your time and energy as far as tending to whatever you're taking care of, while balancing life and family at the same time.
I've been in here a while. Hi, Aaron. Hey, man. Yeah, so think about it like with children, and this is how it was with my kids, and I tell them this, and I like to use the metaphor I use about gaining knowledge and earning a skill. Earning a skill through perseverance, through learning and trying, and the difficulty that comes with it. But I always told them, even as little kids, little babies, toddlers, elementary school, the more you know, knowledge, the more you know, the more you appreciate that which you know, because you have a more intimate relationship with it. You can understand it much deeper than just, oh, I know what that is. It's, oh, I know how that works. And I always like to use the metaphor of music. Everybody loves music, but the musician who studies it deeply appreciates it and can understand it on a much deeper level, and it has more meaning for them. It just does. They put in the effort and they understand it a different way that just a casual listener does not really have the ability to relate to quite yet until they put in that same effort. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So anyway, enough of that philosophical yabbering, but it's important. Guys, we're thinking creatures. And part of that character development helps out a lot with finding a good caretaker. All right, so I'm not going to talk because all I do is blabber. All right, so Angela, please introduce us and briefly explain the importance of planning your animal care setup. Because we're going on vacation and we need somebody to watch our animals when we're stressed out, right?
Yeah, that's the setting that we're presenting. So the importance is, obviously, you want to be able to not be concerned, worried, or stressed, or anything like that while you're off on vacation doing whatever you're doing. And you want to feel confident that your animals are being cared for, they're safe, they're secure, they're protected still from predators, and they're being cared for by somebody who is trying to do their best to accomplish that.
What she mentioned is extremely important, is you not worrying when you're on vacation. Because I think the first thing you want to do is, should I call whoever and see if he's okay? Yes, you are going on vacation to Quail with me and Aaron. Perhaps. Yes, perhaps. And go in there. So, but you don't want to be waking up first thing in the morning and worrying. You want to have confidence in the person you've employed or whoever's helping out there. All right, and you want to have time off. You need to take a break. This stuff will burn you out. We're working 7 days a week, legit. All right? Yeah, I have to drive back from the lake every few days. This is Bill. Bill left a comment. Sorry, people, I'm reading here. Lake every few days to make sure the quail don't murder each other. Oh, right. Yeah, you do have to keep an eye out on everything.
There's another comment.
Kelly Zimmerman is watching. Hey, Kelly. Kelly, definitely. We'll see you there. Yeah, okay. The reason I'm popping down there, I have an iPad on the side. Yeah. It's a very low-tech setup.
It's easier to read the comments on that because it doesn't disappear.
So I'm going on vacation. I don't want to be flipping out and worrying while I'm eating cheeseburgers with the kids or I'm sitting on the beach reading a book. That's out of my mind 100%. I don't want to think about it. Maybe I'll call in, obviously, maybe at the end of the day, check in, see if there's any issues. But because I took the precautions we're going to discuss, I'm not worried. Because I already went through everything and I'm confident in the person I have, even though they've never done this before. All right? We had a very nice young man that we were lucky to find who came here to tend to our critters, who never did this before, right? With us anyway. He has experience with animals, but not with us or working around our creatures. But you did a brief training. Angela did a brief walkthrough, right?
Yeah, multiple. We have a lot of different animal setups and different types of poultry and such that were new for him. So I took several days to go through with him, and he felt very confident. Yeah. After the fact, what was the?
Oh, Bill, he's not going to QuailCon. He's going camping.
Oh.
Which, it's understandable. Yeah, so he came in with a little bit of training, did great. We weren't stressed out. We were able to breathe and then come back and go back to nonstop work.
But it was really nice because we felt very confident in his care and ability.
Yeah, so, I've been doing, I guess we've been doing these educationals for a year and a half, 2 years, I guess.
Yeah.
For a while. And I like to I always write an outline so I have some structure for you guys. So I want to talk about choosing caretakers. I think that's the big issue for a lot of people. Where do you find somebody? I mean, let's get to the real problem or the real issue. Where do I find somebody? Should I get my nephew? He's an idiot. I don't want to hire him. But he's the only person I know. No offense to the nephew, but you know what I'm talking about. Family members, just because they're family, are probably not always the best choice. So...
And then there's logistics that you have to consider. Do you have to have care in the morning and in the evening, or how many times throughout the day? Does your animal or animals need help? Hey, Vernon.
Hi, Vernon.
And also distance. You have to, determine whoever you're considering or who's considering working with you. Are they really far away? Are they going to be staying at your place, or are they kind of close and they can visit back and forth? That sort of thing. And then also compensation, that sort of thing.
And depending on the scale of your operation, the experience that the person has. If you're just having somebody watching a chicken pen, right, or dog sitting, for example, something small, they probably don't require a ton of experience to do that simple task. But when we're talking about, multiple animals, larger livestock, multiple pens, bigger responsibilities, if once you start working with animals like you guys out there, people like us who do this all the time, you understand problems come up all the time. Issues happen, and you need to be able to not freak out, address the problem and fix it, whatever. Fence gets knocked apart, critter gets eaten, unfortunately, something happens.
And those are all things that you would go over with a person more than once and leave it, which we're going to go through
we'll talk about emergency care.
But to make sure that they feel confident if, such and such were to happen, what are their instructions? So then that gives them peace of mind as well.
Which we'll be talking about.
Yeah.
We're still talking about choosing a caretaker. So choosing somebody to watch over the farm. And the question is, where do you find somebody? Well, what is your network? Okay, do you have a network? And it's kind of a cheesy business term, but who do you know? Who have you been talking with or interacting with?
I think it's
in the local community, especially.
Even before you consider the person, it's important to just assess what needs to be done and break it down, so then you can think to yourself, okay, well, what I do, perhaps you do a lot of things as far as caring for different animals, or maybe your routine seems like a lot, but perhaps the tasks themselves aren't difficult at all. But maybe for somebody who might be thinking oh, I feel overwhelmed just at the idea of finding somebody to care for our animals while we're away, maybe writing it down, what you do in a day, and then assessing, these tasks are actually quite simple, and it really doesn't require somebody who's terribly experienced with animals. So then that can help you in the process of figuring out who to approach or who to contact or who to consider to tend to your animals if the experience needed. And it might even be more than one person. But
and reverse engineering that too before you go and invest in the new big animals. That's something to consider too, the investment of time and the obligation that it's going to have being there. Vernon said, and we got a comment from Vernon, I'm in South Carolina right now on vacation. Awesome. I've got my son-in-law taken care of. I'm going to pull up my iPad so I can read your comment. I got my son-in-law taking care of the birds. I streamline everything to make it as easy and as fast as possible for him. That's awesome. And that's good for him too. Well, number one, he won't get frustrated. And number two, he'll be happy to do it again, hopefully. And come back. But have a great time in South Carolina. He was fishing last time. Catch some big fish down there, man. So choosing a caretaker, we didn't really know too many people, I guess, in the area, but there are a ton of options to meet people and understand people in your local area. Farmers markets, churches. If you're in a rural area, especially, many of the families know each other. And the good thing about that is, if you're hiring a regular normal kid, they're used to playing Xbox all day. They're not. It's a different culture, is what I'm getting at.
Obviously it has to be somebody who feels comfortable or open to becoming comfortable with interacting with animals.
Yeah. So the farmer culture, the kids raised there, they're raised decent and they have that work ethic daddy put into them and mommy put into them. They're teenagers, they're responsible, and they understand their consequence of their responsibilities, and they take it a little more serious, and they know it, and they feel comfortable with it. It's not something that's intimidating to them, because this can be intimidating to somebody who's not taken care of a critter before, especially when the owners are all gone,
But also, willingness is a big deal. So if it's somebody who's like new to maybe the lifestyle that you're in, maybe they have some experience with the animals that you have, but their willingness to learn something new, that can create a lot of value in an individual, and launch them into a path that would be very productive for them if given the opportunity. So there's some people you might not think of initially, just like kind of keep an open mind as you're considering people. But of course, there's just to give ideas. As Christopher was starting to mention, you can check with your neighbors, check with your family members.
Church, 4-H, online local community groups, farm groups, clubs, animal clubs, horse clubs.
There's also
things
on
in the area.
Facebook, there are groups specifically for farm help, needed farm help care, that kind of thing for going on vacation. It is definitely a thing. There are professional people who do go and farm sit or house sit. They'll stay or they'll come travel. So there's definitely options.
And luckily it's summer and the kids are out of school too, so your teenagers who can handle the lighter responsibilities, they're there.
And again, like Christopher mentioned, the 4-H, with the 4-H groups, like there's
have older kids
a lot of kids or people who really, like, they're not really presented with, maybe they have experience with certain animals, but you have animals that they really want to learn about and would jump at the opportunity to participate.
If somebody called me to watch their hippopotamuses, I would run to their house and be like, look, I'm doing this for free. I'm watching your hippos while you go out on vacation. But people may be also that enthusiastic about bunny rabbits or sheep or whatever you might have.
But then, of course, you're going to want to, depending on the situation, who you end up working with, consider the compensation financially, if they're traveling, if they're using gas, their time, that sort of thing. But,
Bravo. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, so finding a caretaker, I think it's covered. There's a lot of options. I can't say type this into your computer and you're going to find somebody. It's legwork, and then you're going to want to talk to the individuals. It's easy. So I think what happens is we meet people, they're charming, they're nice. You're like, oh, that's a cute kid, I'm going to hire him, but it might not be the best. It's okay, you can pass on people and say, hey, I'm talking to a couple other kids, somebody else. I always do the pseudo, it's not really a lie, but I already have somebody, but you would be great in case they don't work out, wink, wink. And that way you don't make them, you don't have to feel so guilty about telling them, take a break, I don't want you around here because you're not skilled enough. But you still meet these different people. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, and you could also just be honest and
could
say,
be
I
honest,
found somebody
sure.
better suited.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you will find somebody better suited.
Yeah.
But I think people feel...
Be tactful. Communication is key.
Some people have a difficult time saying no, is what I'm getting at. And they meet some nice kid and they talk for 2 hours and then they feel guilted into hiring somebody who might not be the best.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
So finding a caretaker, choosing somebody who's appropriate, it's a big issue. I think that's the hardest work actually, because you're doing the upfront leg work, because that's going to determine whether or not you're stressed out on vacation. It's going to determine whether or not you feel like you have to call every 5 minutes, because you didn't pick the right person. So picking the right person who you
that really affects your peace of mind.
Yeah, who you're training properly is going to let you go, take your trip, and relax.
And then, of course, you would want to have them come over and meet your animals.
We're going to talk about that.
Well, it's actually right here. It's still within this whole thing.
Oh, we can do that. A meet and greet.
Yeah,
Arrange a
just
meeting.
make sure that they feel comfortable.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That they didn't say yes without fully understanding what they were committing to.
Yeah, my neighbor had bulls, and no, I wouldn't be taking care of them. He had to be one of them nasty animals. I'm not taking care of them. So if you hired me for that, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so prepping for our caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
So
like I was saying in the beginning, now it's going to be necessary to.
This is the training part.
Yeah, the training part to write down your routine of what you do with the animals, and you're going to want to be detailed in a clear way that's not overly wordy. So maybe an outline format. But anyway, you're going to want to really think through what you do, because there's a lot that we do that we take for granted. We're not thinking about anymore because it's so
automatic.
It's automatic.
It's automatic.
So envision yourself. Oh, I'm going to go outside and take care of the goats. What am I doing when I'm doing that? And where am I going? What am I touching? Because this is all new to this person. So it's not that you need to have all the details written down, but you need to keep that in mind so that when you're walking through the routine with your helper, that you're explaining what you're doing. Because you want to make sure they're paying attention too, but then that will give them opportunity to process it, and you can ask them questions about what you're doing. Like, does this make sense? Because there will be things that they'll point out and be like, it's just, you didn't even think about it because it's so like you said, second nature.
Yeah, you do not want whoever you're coming in to get stressed, because then they're not going to perform well, and they're going to get anxiety. It's all psych stuff. Mm-hmm. They get stressed. It starts instigating anxiety. They start doing things and forgetting things because they're worried about something else. Okay? So we want to prohibit whoever I'm training, like any other job. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to not train this person properly, so they come into work going, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't know. Because they get anxiety ridden. They think they're going to fail, and people are afraid of that. So you don't want that.
So write down your instructions, not overly wordy, just like bullet points. The main things you want them to focus on. Make a copy for you, make a copy for them, so then when you're going through the routine with them, walking through it with them, you're reading it with them so patience obviously is key. You're reading through what you're about to do, and then do it and ask them if they have any questions.
Let me what does it say? Oh, okay, this is Susan. Susan left me a message here on the YouTube. I live alone, homebound, and family is thousands of miles away. I have a list of people to care for my mobility service dog and birds if I am sick. Go to the hospital or die. The hardest part for me was having the initial conversation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I bet.
Yeah.
It is difficult because those are serious issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm glad you're able to do it, and I hope you do get out of the house and do stuff, occasionally. We don't go out and do much very often, but we get out, a couple of times a year. Kelly wants to go to Quail. Now, what Angela was talking about, I want to show you guys something, and this is important. I brought this up as show and tell. You didn't think to bring this up at first.
No, I didn't even think of it at all.
So, with the very nice fellow that we have come here, we have a outline, like an itinerary. And here's the important thing. It's not handwritten, because it's hard to read, can be illegible to the person under stress, and it can rip, tear, get dirty, and smear. So it's typed, and then it's laminated. So animals, where do they live?
Yeah, and if they're feeding, so they're interacting with water.
So the thing is ringed, and when Angela goes out and was training the nice guy,
This was his copy.
This was his copy, and we'd say, okay, and it was in list of order, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like morning tasks.
1, 2, 3. And this is extremely helpful.
Yeah. So I walked him through it.
Julie's watching.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, totally. It's been a while. We've been on the YouTube doing these lives for a long, long time, and today we're doing like simultaneous. Laminating info is a great idea.
Yeah.
It is because you can reuse it over and over. It's not going to get wrecked because just taking a regular piece of paper out in the morning is going to get dew on it, damp, and smear. And after a week,
naturally, they'll want to fold it and then put it in their pocket, you know, because they're doing things with their hands and they're looking like, where am I to put it down? So, you know, it was just you could toss it on the floor, on the ground, and no
get
problem.
muddy, get wet. It's not going to get wrecked.
Yeah. But you can, you know,
and if they drop this, the reason I'm stressing this because it's actually important. And anybody out there with kids, I'm sure you got a laminating kit at home. And
or a sheet protector, you know, there's different types.
I would definitely go with the laminating because it waterproofs it.
Yeah.
And when they drop it in the mud or watering creatures, they're not going to destroy the paper and ask you, oh, hey, I ripped my sheet. Or this happened. Or like, what was I supposed to do with the chicken? He's afraid to say, you know, I destroyed something. But yeah, definitely a clean, easy to read, legible, printed, preferably laminated sheet will really help whoever it is you're having come over there. And maybe you would have them tacked up at the different stations, like the horse barn, the pig stalls, or whatever you're doing, chicken area, you could have it tacked up. Or she just had it in a rain
so
binder.
we had a lot of things for him to go through. So he came over several times, and after we went through the last time, he felt it was pretty, and he was doing the tasks with me, and he felt, you know, like he already had that down, and so then he just used this as a reminder.
Yeah.
And he didn't, you know, he vaguely, the first time he was here without me, he referenced it, but then after that, he was good.
And that's really like the meat and potatoes of this is the work, finding the guy to do it, finding somebody who's qualified, you feel good, and you have a good relationship with.
There was a comment.
Oh, there's a comment. Yeah, finding somebody you feel comfortable with, and then communicating and educating on the instructions, and doing a dry run. Let me read this comment this season. I can see how it helps not to forget the important info. Laminating info is a great idea. Oh, thanks. It is. It's and it's you're not going to throw it out. You can use it again next season or whatever's going on.
Now, for me, the most I was a little like when I was starting to figure out, well, who am I going to ask to help? That was I felt like a little like, oh man, I don't know. Like, so I just started asking people. And then, but the most tedious for me was actually writing everything down, all the steps in a clear way that's not overwhelming or not too much information. Because they're going to if they're going to be looking at it, you don't want them to be sitting there like reading a book to do 2 tasks. So just like, you know, to the point, concise, and write the most important things on it. And that was that, and then also prepping, which we'll get into, prepping all the different like stations, and making sure there was enough feed for the different animals and such. Yeah.
Yes, that's a really good point. Preparing as much as you can.
Yeah, because if you're getting ready to go on vacation, you also have other stuff on your mind, most likely.
Yeah, so. Pre-measuring feed, and really simple stuff, obviously. Filling up water stations, reminding.
Having extra things on hand in case, like if you have certain waters, in case it breaks. You know, you want them to be able to water your animal. Yeah.
Rather than driving 5 hours back home to go to Home Depot and buy something new. Yeah. Have a little bit of redundancy on stuff that might wear out. And
also like have like a little holding area for a certain type of animals, in case somebody gets injured or ill, so that they can put it somewhere. Like, this is just kind of part of the details.
Yeah, and then the instructions are like feed amounts. So if you're used to feeding animals, a lot of people give a measurement that they're aware of, that they can visualize. Like, I know how much to give the chickens, I give them this.
Right, even if you're pouring it, you know how much you're pouring.
But the guy or the girl, whoever you're hiring, doesn't. So you may want to actually write it down in a precise measurement, like whatever you're using, 1 purple cup filled, or whatever the measurement device is you're using. But being specific, because, you know, when somebody's watching animals, especially if they don't have a lot of experience, they don't want to underfeed them, so they overfeed them. That's extremely common.
Yeah.
You know, they're always going to overfeed just to make sure that nobody goes hungry.
And I'd rather them be overfed than underfed.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Okay, so prepping that. Important thing with preparations is the emergency contacts list. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so depending on the type of animals you have, do you have certain vets? Like, what are the instructions that you're going to be giving your person? If depending on, like, are they small animals, are they big animals? If somebody is injured or becomes ill, what would you have them do? Do you want them to contact a vet? Do you want them to contact somebody who handles animals? My landlady would check on food.
Feed and water, but Bill got tasked with poop trays.
Oh.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're going to want to have instructions for your person. You don't want to just give them like, oh, if something happens, here's a list of emergency contacts. Well, explain to them, give them examples. Like if there's a predator attack, and find out if do they feel comfortable, culling an animal that is in need of it, or are they gonna, put them in, if it's a suffering situation, what are they gonna do? Do they contact a vet? Do they contact, a family member that lives there nearby, that sort of thing?
Oh, yeah.
Or are they going to, what kind of medicines or, like wraps do you have that they can use?
That happens. Somebody we know went to merry old England and Scotland, and one of their sheep passed away while they were gone. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you want them to feel, like, of course nobody wants anything bad to happen, but you want them to feel confident or at least certain of what they should do. You don't want them to be freaking out, your caretaker, if something happens. So yeah, tell them what would you do and what would fit the situation.
And hopefully there's no emergencies. However, I was reading that it's 2024. Is that true? That means most of us have these telephones with video on it, which means if there's an issue, hopefully there's service, or at least Wi-Fi, or at least a place where they can send photos and do a video call. And I would set that up beforehand, like let them know, hey, if there's an issue, call me on the video or send me photos, because there's so much communication, so much gets lost in communication. I saw one of the chickens and it was whatever the description is. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. Could you take a picture and show me? Oh, I see, their head's missing. Yeah, that was a fox. That's not getting better. So
yeah. And then so you're going to want to, you know where your supplies, your medical stuff is. Let's see, Bill says, do you have cameras on your animal quarters?
Yes,
we do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
They're actually very helpful because we had a masked bandit coming in several nights
wreaked havoc on multiple animals.
Yeah. So
We're speaking of a raccoon.
A raccoon, not a human masked bandit, but a raccoon. But yeah, what's cool is the cameras have the IR, the infrared, right? So at nighttime, it would detect movement and it would wake me up. The telephone would go, raccoon alert, raccoon alert, raccoon alert, and it would wake me up and let me know there's a raccoon out there. And I would go, move along, and help the animals, because it was trying to eat all of our silkies.
Yeah, visited our silkies, our laying chickens, and our quail.
Yeah, and
but anyway.
A lot of these videos, when we're talking about quail, I always talk about the predator behaviors, and they are, in the spring when babies come, their patterns change, and they're going to start coming around and eating your animals again, or trying to. And in the fall, when all the food is gone and they start to starve again, it's getting cold and they got to get fat for winter, then they start moving around again. So early spring with babies and fall is usually when we see an increase in predator behavior changes.
With where we are located.
Yeah, and between these times, you don't really see them. When babies come around, they need calories, and when it's freezing cold, they need calories, and there's nothing growing, the predators come out. But anyway, Bill, sorry, I'm on tangent.
So
cameras help.
Yeah, we do have cameras. So with your supplies, whatever you're using, whatever you're having them use, feed, tools, buckets, scoops, medical, kits, everything that you're used to wherever it is, you're going to want to make sure it's in a place that's obvious to them. You might have to set stations up that are obvious that they see. The people are going to bump into, or, they're not going to overlook it and forget. Because they're not going to know where your secret stash of whatever medical whatever is. Or if it's something that's refrigerated, then you put a note of where to find it. But you want to also think like, well, how can we make this easy for the person as well? So it might be, you might have feed buckets that are sealed in certain zones, so that they're not having to carry a lot of different feed, around so much. They can just access, maybe you're making, just making it more easy that they can just access right there near the pen for that particular animal.
Common issues too, like so with quail, and a lot of you guys do the quail. Common issue with the quail is you go in and one's all mutilated or something. Somebody got hurt. That's common. There's quail injuries, okay? Caretaker may not be aware of this, and they may freak out. So you might want to tell them beforehand, hey, if you see one that's hurt, it's bloody, don't freak out. Just take him out and put him in his little, isolation pen, and they're usually okay. Because that's something I would mention, because it's, it doesn't happen all the time, but there's a chance that might happen while they're there, where there's a pecking injury, where they get hurt on something, and they look vicious. Like quail injuries look horrible, but they usually heal from them pretty resiliently. And so I would communicate that they look really bad, but they're very resilient animals and they heal. So any susceptible injuries or behaviors that might seem unusual that could manifest, warn them. You want to, and I know it's a lot of information, and that's why.
But you want to address.
You want to put it in your laminated
their concerns or their fears or whatever. They're going to want to be able to discuss this with you in person. Before you leave. So, I mean, you could even say, example, a neighbor's dog, gets loose and terrorizes some of the animals while we're away. This is what you should do if somebody's injured, or maybe they're really scared, that sort of thing. Like, put them in this pen, leave them there where they're safe. Give them instructions on how to handle it. Of course, they'll contact you, but yeah, you want them to feel confident as much as possible.
I think that's fair. And that so the emergency stuff and that's called stress inoculation, when you introduce a stressor in a simulated fashion to get people used to it, so they don't freak out when it actually happens and they remain calm. Anyway,
but, when you're walking through the routines and they have their papers, they're asking questions, you're asking them questions. Checking with how they feel about whatever. Make sure they're using their hands, and doing the tasks, not just watching you, because it's a big difference with learning, and it'll be that memory will stay, and they're paying more attention to what they're doing.
Tactile reinforcement, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it is.
And then also, you're going to want to do safety checks. So what I did was, after he would tend to a certain animal group, release, he would put the food out for the ducks, then release them. So there's something that I was feeding my silkies, for example. Sorry, I'm kind of going back and forth with the animals, but the silkies, they would, if I would feed them after I let them out of their coops, then they would all kind of be everywhere, and silkies are very goofy, and they're not aware of their surroundings. So you can easily step on them. And I'm aware of how to move around them and stuff, but somebody who's not maybe as agile, and new to the situation, it might be kind of So then I just reordered everything, and I said, don't let anyone out. First, put the food in the coop, in the bowls, and once you're done with the bowls, then let them out, so then you can avoid stepping on them. But then whenever he would do a certain animal group, I would say, okay, now just stop and look at all of them, give them, a look over, make sure nobody looks obviously ill or hurt. And then at the same time we were doing this, I would kind of talk to him about like their animal behavior because he was new to some of the animals, and then he was asking me questions, which then helped him relax even more, just having to interact with those types of animals, because I was answering questions about their behavior for those specific ones, specific animals that he was new to. But anyway, visual health checks to make sure everybody looks okay, and then also the doors, enclosures, making sure, are the doors that need to be closed, are they all closed? Is there any change from the night before as far as like...
Sorry.
Oh.
No, you can pause. You can go right back. I was just going to say, she's mentioning a ton of information, and we could really go on and on and on about all the specifics we do. But these are just examples.
Right, yeah.
So don't I wouldn't be sitting here taking notes. Oh, yeah.
Just things to think about that is something you do naturally, but this person, they're completely new. And then also like predators, like Christopher just mentioned about the raccoons, you're training them to look for things is what I'm kind of saying. Yeah. So check the perimeter. Does anything look different from the day before? Is there something knocked off? Like I was encouraging him, like take note of how things are sitting, buckets, because I was telling him how the raccoons will climb on top of our quail hutches and they'll knock stuff off. And if you're not really looking, you might not know, oh, that bucket on the ground, maybe that was like that the day before. But if you took note, you're like, oh, there's a predator here last night and it knocked that down. So I said to him, does anything look amiss? Are there anything like scratch marks, digging holes, that kind of thing? Because then, that gives them more information about what's going on with the animals that's in their care.
I believe it's our friend Steve. Hey, how are you?
Hey.
That's Steve, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hi, man. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
So anyway, yeah, and you at the evening, because he would do putting everybody away, I would say walk around the property and just do another one last check, because it's so important. I mean, you guys know with predators, it's so important to make sure the gates are closed, the doors are closed, that nothing's loose, because it's just, and things happen, but it's different if a fox were to get in on your watch than it is on your person who's helping you on their watch, because then they'll, you don't want them to feel like horrible just from, a door that was accidentally left open. So you're training them,
Yeah, it's intuitive for us when we're going through, or not even intuitive. It's more just a habit, because we do it so much that we don't even think, like she said earlier, not to mention certain things that we do, because we do it out of habit so often. We don't even think about it. Oh yeah, I checked the line. Like maybe there's a nozzle that comes loose, but I check it every day just to make sure it's not loose. I don't even think about it.
Mm-hmm. With the rabbits, we have the gravity-fed water that goes into their little thingies that it only gives water when they touch it. So, touch the waters once a day, make sure they're getting water, because if, you might not visually see that it's not giving them water, and that's a big deal if your rabbits or your animals suddenly don't have any water. So simple things.
You don't want to overwhelm the dude, whoever's coming over. You want it to be smooth, efficient, and
you go through
safe.
Your routine with them, you show them the different things, but have them do it too.
Isn't that Shane?
Shane, yeah.
All right. Hey, what's up,
Hi,
buddy?
Shane.
Hey, Shane, I'm trying this for the first time. We're on Facebook over here on camera A and YouTube over on camera B. So, a very sophisticated setup. A setup anyway. All right. So, I think that covers a lot of that stuff. We talked about health and safety a little bit, medications. So, I'm not going to give medical advice because I'm not a vet or a doctor or an accountant. I don't think that matters. So administering medication, if you feel comfortable talking about medication with your caregiver, which may be necessary, you're giving them medication. If it's an injection especially, that's maybe a little more involved and intimidating to people. That's something to talk to whoever you're training. It might not be something that a younger person is going to feel comfortable doing, or you feel comfortable allowing them to do. But oral medications, like sticking food or medication in the food, the old feed a dog a pill trick. Not a big deal. So there's differences, and that's for you guys really, of course, to determine on your own accord with whoever you're hiring. Because you don't want to come back and have a problem with the creatures. But the whole idea fundamentally is you just want to go on a trip without stressing out. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about, oh my God, I hired a guy, what's he doing? You're not worrying about it because you went through everything. Everything's written in black and white. There's practically no way they're going to screw up.
Something to reference.
And the only sabotage that's coming is that raccoon or fox, and that's not his fault. And he feels okay to tell you about it.
Yeah.
And as long as your structures are properly built, you shouldn't be a big problem.
Yeah, and that's something also for you to take note of. Like, you might be used to, like, every day, like, shimmying something up against the door to make sure it doesn't, suddenly prop open. But you might want to go around and reinforce different things, structures and such, before leaving, just to ensure that your animals are properly protected and...
This is an important thing. Be nice. If they call and they're asking stupid questions and you're getting annoyed, I would try to address it as nicely as possible.
What would be like stupid?
Well, some people, you need to basically hold their hand for everything. You're like, should I give the chickens their stuff first or the ducks first? Like simple questions.
Well, when you go through the walkthrough with them, make sure you ask them, how do you feel about everything? I don't know. Okay, let's do it again, tomorrow.
And keep in mind, whoever you're hiring for your vacation, you're probably going to get lucky and be able to have them come back on a regular. I'm like, oh, hey, you know what? That was really nice. It was nice going on vacation for once in our existence. Maybe we can do it again. Let's take a weekend. We'll have Jojo come over, and then we'll go on vacation. I'm going to get a sip of water, and then I'm going to bring in our special surprise.
Oh.
Since I think we're almost finished.
Yeah.
Right? We're getting close to the end, but I wanted to, since there's some people left in here, I was going to show my special surprise.
I'll keep going through here then.
Well, we talked about emergency, prepping the guy, health stuff.
If you said you were going to step out.
Well, let me get a couple water. What else did you want to discuss on this list?
I'll just mention some of this. So, I'll
be back. I'm going to get a cup of water and a treat.
What was I going to say? So communication obviously is very important. You're going to want to make sure you have your setup established. Are you going to be making a phone, like calling, having them call you at a certain time? Make sure if you're in an area that doesn't have good reception, to let them know when you can be contacted. If you want them to text you, however it is that you want to communicate with them, and that they feel comfortable doing too, that you have that set up ahead of time. And also to give them kind of like expectation, like, oh, I'm going to check in with the people every morning or every evening, that sort of thing. And let's see. Oh, and then it's important to keep, obviously, your animals like routine. So when you're figuring out the schedule for them, try and consider having everything flow in such a way that is still pretty similar to what you do already. So then your animals, it's kind of like a real easy thing for them. They're going to act normal for the most part, even if it's a different person.
Correct. You're talking about their behaviors?
Yeah.
And their regularity, like time of day feeding. I came in late.
No.
But I had to get a cup of water. Okay. But I think is that about done with it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if anybody has any questions or comments, go ahead and drop them.
Yeah, but because some people for some reason lingered in here long enough, I want to share with you a special surprise. Oh, thanks, Susan. I want to show you something. My new baby pussycat. This is my new little kitty cat. So that's our new farm animal. I'm going to train it to prowl and stalk the... No, I'm just kidding. It's going to be our little house pet. So that's our new little kitty. What's her name? Gray color?
Maya, I think.
Angela named this one Maya. But, so that's my...
This is looking at.
It's a very sweet little animal. So this kitty cat came... If you guys are familiar with Pennsylvania, we have, for some reason, a thriving indigenous cat population that's established itself and just lives everywhere. So every once in a while, it's true. There's like kittens everywhere. So this is one of those wild pussycat kittens. we found, or actually it was at her mama's house.
Yeah.
Should I tell them my dream? I'm going to tell you my dream.
Yeah.
Thanks, Susan. So I had a dream, and I woke Angela up. I was like, listen to this. I'm going to get a little gray pussycat with a white tuft and a white face and blue eyes. I had a dream. I'm going to get this little gray kitty. I had no idea why or where, but it was just a dream. She'd already seen this cat at her mom's house. I had no idea it was there.
Yeah, I said to my mom when I saw the kittens, I was like, don't tell Christopher. Because I was not interested. I wasn't really wanting another one.
And then we went to her mama's house, and I'm like, that's the kitty from my dream.
Yeah,
So,
and she's
I call it my
very
prophetic dream
sweet
kitty.
and
It's a very
really
sweet
loves people, attention from people.
Here, hold this pussycat.
Yeah.
So that's
Anyway.
that. That was a little side thing. So we got a new critter
I
here.
I hope that going on vacation, finding a caretaker, that was helpful for you guys, and thought provoking.
Yeah.
Again, Christopher mentioned, like, you don't want to overwhelm the people, but you do want to be thorough so that they feel confident, and it might just mean that you go through the process with them of taking care of the animals more than once. Definitely ask them questions.
This is training. Training is not hard.
You're just patient and resist the urge to, like, just do the tasks and explain what you're doing. Maybe just, show them, but then encourage, you want them to actually do the tasks.
Yeah, luckily in this community, like the farm homestead community, most of the families, they raise their kids under the same kind of cultural precepts. So the kids grow up with a work ethic. Like, my God, have you seen Aaron's kid? Great kid. I mean, he works. I mean, he's got a work ethic. But kids have a work ethic, and they understand and they value it. It's not like, I got to go do something. It's like, that's who I am. I'm going to do this because, things have to get done. Luckily, again, like in this community, kids it's not even a conscious thought like, we got to do all this work. It's just like, okay, great. I'm going to go tend to the cows. I'm going to go do this or do that. So you have an opportunity to meet these people who you don't have to convince to work. And we all hear the complaints about today's young people. Mm-hmm. They enjoy the video games. Do they still enjoy the video games? I know they enjoy staring at the cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
But they enjoy the video games and staring at the cell phone. And we don't like this. We like to do nice outdoor fun work and get our vacation in. I think that'll do it because little kitty cat is going nuts. So, yeah, guys, appreciate you coming in. Tonight was our first double cast on the Facebook.
But yeah, if you're new to our YouTube channel, please subscribe, like the video. We do live videos we try to do weekly, and then educational videos.
That's a really great idea.
Sorry.
She was doing the pitch for like and subscribe. Come see us again. But Steve, what deep inside, said he has thinking of putting in an owl house, or you have one. I have thought about adding an owl house to assist with mouse and fruit rat control. An additional plus is that he enjoys the owls.
Yeah, owls are so cool.
What did we just see? We just saw a huge, was it a horned owl?
I don't know what kind it was. It was a juvenile.
It was those spooky owls with the dark eyes.
During the day, it was pretty big.
I think they're barn owls. Barred owls and barn owls are two different things. Anyway.
We were walking at a park.
Really
and it was
pretty.
Up in the big trees.
He was looking at me.
Yeah.
He was staring, and they got great vision.
But that's a good idea.
That's a really cool idea. Putting in the owl population.
Mm-hmm.
Considering the addition of one. That's really neat. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah.
Owl house.
Mm-hmm.
Never even thought of that. That's a great idea. That's a neat idea. Occasionally, I'm going to tell my hoot owl story, Steve. You hoot, and they'll hoot back. I'll go, whoo, 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 and they'll hoot back. And so you can have conversations with the owls out in the woods. Unless it's another idiot like myself hooting back to me. God, that would be embarrassing. Hey, man, did you hear the owl the other night? Where was it? No, that was me. Were you the other owl I was hooting at? But sometimes when I hoot, I get hooted back. I'm assuming it's an owl, but it just could be another goofball.
Yeah, it could be.
No, who knows? All right,
anyway.
Let me hit the goodbye button. I'm going to go.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments after the fact that this is posted, we'll get to your comments and stay connected.
Say bye, kitty cat. All right.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.
See you.